comenzando con la transmisión especial de esta semana. Como siempre, sus anfitriones aquí, Giovanni Too White to be Mexican.
Hola, ¿cómo estás, mi queridísimo Omar, a.k.a. DJ Chabacano? Un honor tenerte de nuevo en esta semana. Y hoy es un día muy especial. Eileen and Luis are here. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. But this is gonna be a bilingual episode. This is the first time we're gonna do a bilingual one.
Primicia.
So hold on with us. Vamos a hablar español. Aquí se habla español y se habla inglés. We speak English as well. So this is your time to learn English if you don't know any English. So you're like, what the hell these guys are saying? So this is the time. But I would like to welcome Luis Niño de Rivera, which actually I had to ask you this. Like, are you related to Sofía Niño de Rivera?
Oh yeah, I'm proudly his brother. Es mi hermana.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, cool.
Es mi hermana.
Actually, I hear that she was actually here. I mean, I'm gonna get very personal now, but she was she's supposed to have a show in New York, right?
Yeah, she was, but unfortunately, it had to
be canceled.
Be delayed, but delayed.
Delayed. Okay. Yeah, let's not say that awful word. Like delayed.
Yeah, and Eileen and ourselves are very. We love stand up, and each time I go to New York, we try to grab a show or something after some mezcals.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you have all the comedy there. So, I mean, if you would like to introduce yourself, obviously we start with the Sofía Niño de Rivera, which I shouldn't do that, but anyways, like.
I'm Luis, Sofia's brother.
The whole show is gonna be about that. Like, so tell me about Sofía. No, I'm kidding. No.
Like Giovanni is Omar's friends.
Yeah. No, first of all, Omar, Giovanni, thank you for inviting us and be part of your show. I've heard a little bit of the Cinco de Mayo music and the one that you told me of the 9-hour brunch. Amazing show. Congrats. I'm Luis Niño de Rivera, co-founder and global brand ambassador of Mezcal Amarás, and been in the category for now 10 years in mezcal. So great to be here with you and share anything I know so far and share my experience. And I'll let Eileen continue.
Yeah, I'm Eileen. I work with Luis in New York as the East Coast brand ambassador for about 3 years. Actually, it'll be 3 years June 1st. So I'm celebrating my anniversary with the company.
Salud.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Awesome. I love mezcal. So I'm a native New Yorker. I was born in Queens, grew up in mostly the Hudson Valley, and now I live in Brooklyn. And have been like the flagship for Mezcal Amarás on the East Coast since 2017.
Eileen, and you mentioned that you have some Puerto Rican heritage.
Yes, my mother is Puerto Rican. My father is Irish. So I am too white to be Puerto Rican, I guess. We have that in common.
People might judge that.
This fair-skinned girl can't speak Spanish fluently. She's telling me she's Puerto Rican. She's slinging mezcal. Like, who is this lady?
Do you know how to dance reggaeton?
I do.
So then, yeah, that's the only thing that you need to demonstrate that you're Puerto Rican. If you know the perreo, you're fine, you know?
You're done.
I can bachata.
It's wonderful that we're speaking mezcal with Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and Irish and Middle Eastern on my end too.
Yeah, no,
Irish.
I know, and actually we wanted to ask, like, I mean, we were discussing, like, kind of like before, like this podcast, like about like how mezcal became such a trend, and I mean it's becoming like I remember my father used to be like, mezcal, oh yeah, that's the worst thing that you can have. Only if you don't have anything else to drink, you're gonna drink mezcal. But now it's like snob, and people there are like want to taste it, and it's like very in the United States it's very expensive in comparison to Mexico. I don't know if Mexico is the same, but would you like to give us the story of like the Mexico versus United States experience of the mezcal?
How did we get here?
Yeah, sure. So we began a couple of decades ago, where basically we have to thank one person in particular for making mezcal the trendy spirit with bartenders in the U.S. And hats off for him, which is Ron Cooper. He's the owner of Del Maguey Mezcal.
Oh yeah.
And it's important to recognize because he worked a lot in sending in volume and talking with all bartenders and visiting all the accounts and talking about mezcal and trying to spread about the authenticity, the artisanal, the culture, the maestros, mezcaleros, everything that's amazing about this category. And slowly by slowly, sip by sip, bar by bar, cocktail by cocktail, he immersed the mezcal into the U.S. bartender world. And basically, it's a trend with cocktail makers.
You know what? I have a funny story about Del Maguey. Now that you're saying that, somebody gave me like this beautiful bottle from Tepextate, and I had it there. Like, I mean, I was enjoying it, and my wife is American, and one day, I mean, I'm very organized, as you can see probably in the background, but almost like too much.
And I have the Mexican mask.
But I have the Mexican mask, yeah, with my robot here, because we're turning into robots right now. and I was drinking the mezcal. It was like, you know, we're here in the quarantine. I'm just gonna have a little sip, and I put it on the side of the couch. Next day, it's like, where's my bottle? Like, it's like, and she was like, what bottle? It's like, yeah, my bottle of mezcal. It's like, I don't know. It's like, don't tell me you throw the bottle. It's like, it was empty. It's like, you never leave any bottle of anything, like anything in the floor. It's like, I thought it was trash. I was like, no, half a bottle thrown to the trash. I was like,
oh, and that's a special bottle. I mean,
it is a special bottle. I'm crying right now.
Yeah, to get that green bottle again.
Yeah.
He bought a batch of those green bottles when they were like extinct.
Don't tell me.
Started doing it when it grew, he had to get that green bottle somewhere. So it's.
I just want to think like somebody was happy, you know, found it in the trash can. It's like, what is this? And it just enjoy that bottle, and it's like.
And now it's a candle holder.
Probably turns like, what is this? Like, that's awful alcohol. It smells so bad. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put a candle in
it. Eileen, you said you're gonna be 3 years now with Mezcal Amarás. How did you get started in all this, and how you connect with Luis and Amarás in general?
Yeah, so I used to be the general manager of a couple of cocktail bars in the city, Dear Irving and the Bennett, which is no longer there, but Dear Irving is still in Gramercy. And actually a guy that worked for the importer, he was the brand manager for a company called Anchor Distilling, which has changed names since. But they were the importer for Mezcal Amarás. And when the Cupreata was coming to market in New York, he gave me a small sample. I used to work with him. He was, you know, one of the guys that we placed orders with and like did events with and stuff like that. And when Mezcal Amarás was looking for somebody in New York, he approached me and said like, oh man, I have the best gig for you. But he was kind of like, you know, just something to pad your pockets, like a little extra side gig. And at the time I was working like, I don't know, 90 hours a week sometimes. Being the general manager of 2 cocktail bars was no joke. So, and I had been doing that for a while. So I looked at it, even though they just wanted somebody part-time to start, I really looked at it as just like a great way to break away from what I was doing, step outside of management and do something a little bit different. And I had loved that sample so much. It was like a 200 ml bottle, and I saved it, and I like, you know, just had a little bit here and there. I didn't share it with my boyfriend at all.
You did the right thing with that.
Yeah, exactly. It was my favorite. So I knew I loved the brand, and then I had a couple of calls with Luis and Santiago and James, and it was a natural fit. So
yeah.
Y Luis, ¿tú vienes del mundo de la coctelería también?
Yo vengo del mundo de los vinos y licores. Trabajé en Pernod Ricard, México, del 2005 al 2009 en marketing. Entonces, llevando whiskies, vodka en algún momento, Stolichnaya llevé en un momento que fue divertido. Pero sí, estuve durante 5 años ahí en la industria, y luego Santiago me invitó aquí al mezcal.
Wow. And now tell me about the part of the prices, because
Yes, it is. And US and Mexico is basically between 2 or 3 times more expensive than what you can get in retail in the Mexican market. And basically it's due to the system in the US. The 3-tier system in the US has a lot of intermediaries with a lot of margin that they have to have until we get to the final consumer. So what we invoice, and then that margin plus 3 margins on top of it, that's why we get to a little bit of a 2 or 3 time difference with Mexico.
Because
yeah.
No, just like I don't know how many times I hear, like I used to be a DJ at Casa Mezcal, which I say hi to these guys, like very good friends. And I remember every single time someone from Mexico used to be at the bar asking for a shot of mezcal, it was like, it can go from $20 to $30, things like that. And the first thing you hear is like, come on, in Mexico I can have the same thing for like $1, $2 or whatever. Like, it was always
you can buy a bottle with that shot.
Yeah, but that's what I always said. Like, it's like if you want the experience of a shot, a very good selection of mezcal in United States, obviously it's gonna cost you because there's all this stuff behind that you guys have to pay, which is basically what you're saying, right?
You also pay for the exotic value of what you're drinking, and the same happens with rum in Puerto Rico, for example.
And to be fair, honestly, like, $12 for a shot of whiskey is well into your way, or on your way to a bottle of whiskey too. So considering how long it takes these agave to grow before you can produce it, and the way that mezcal is produced, you're really getting what you pay for, and it's not that much different.
It is
Yeah,
not.
and in the end, the second reason, not just the 3-tier, but in mezcal in Mexico is the third most expensive category. I mean, after cognac and armagnac comes mezcal.
Wow.
And basically it's the artisanal, as Eileen was saying, natural. 14 hands are involved with 1 liter of mezcal, when 3 are involved in a liter of tequila and 1 is involved in a single malt. So it's something that takes 6 to 30 years to be ready and 30 days to make a batch. So it's time consuming, it's a cost, it's an investment, and it's a natural organic product. So yes.
Yeah.
And Omar, would you like to go to the music part of it? Because obviously we don't want to. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys always talk about the mezcal process and stuff like that. Probably you're a little sick of it, but with mezcal comes music, and I think we can start that part. So Omar, if you want to break it down.
Yeah, and at least for us here in Cliente Necios, mezcal has always been present there, right? Because the whole idea came from sitting in a bar drinking mezcal. So and we know each other from the music scene. And I was curious, especially when you guys think of marketing mezcal, right? How do you sell? Well, it's sort of a high end kind of thing that people think about. But when you think of marketing for mezcal, how do you pair it, so to speak? With music, how do you hear mezcal?
I think you're drunk, Omar. Stop drinking.
2 shots of mezcal.
It's like, what's in your soul? Like, what vibe gives you?
Yeah, so I'll try to answer that one, and I let Eileen with her setup behind her and her knowledge about music to complement, to add
That's
to
background over, by the way.
Yeah. The good thing about mezcal, it's versatility. So you have different agaves, different flavors, different ABVs, different experiences. So you can have a mezcal for each type of music. For example, our Verde brand, which is a smoky, funky, wild with the...
Look at that, Eileen. Eileen, talk so people can see it.
So this is the Mezcal Verde, one of our cat labels. This is one of my favorites, actually, because it's the hairless cat, which
I love that cat.
They think it's weird. I mean, I don't think people think this label is weird, but they think the cat is weird. And I'm like, that cat needs some love. Sorry, back to you, Luis.
Those eyes tell everything.
That's amazing. I love that cat. I know people, usually they are afraid of that type of cat, but that's amazing. But why not a Cholo Squinkle, which is like, will be the kind of like the catch on that?
We have one. We have an artist representing a Xoloscuincle with stickers and something. There's a label
Nice.
somewhere I can show you later. But we have a Xoloscuincle. We have like an African Mayahuel type of goddess thing, lips, a flamingo, and it's time when flamingos were crazy everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Hables para la alberca, everything, no? So that one can be in some electro music or reggaeton, you know. Happy Amarás can be more in a chill out house.
Yeah, that looks more refined, more like elegant.
Yeah.
You guys have seen this label before. Everybody should be familiar with that guy. You.
But then you can have like a wild agave, high ABV, maybe to relax with a little olive or something, hear some classical music or
Nice.
and then you have the reposados or añejos that can go wild. But I think the versatility of mezcal can let you play with different scenes in music. No?
I think for me the most far away music genre will be heavy metal or black metal, because I think mezcal relaxes you. So it will be weird to be like super like and then like.
But it's like
I think it's a loving drink, you know.
When I had this, you know, notion of not knowing what mezcal was, but knowing that something there was called mezcal and it was sort of a hard kind of liquor, that's what I picture in my head, you know.
Heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
No, yeah, exactly. So, something, you know, rock and roll, hard, heavy metal, something. We're gonna get drunk and destroy everything.
That's actually really interesting because heavy metal is like technically a really, it's really intense music. Not just in the way that it sounds, but like playing it, you have to be a really, really good musician to execute heavy metal in a way that's like listen toable. I don't know.
Oh yeah, just the drums, like, you know, the double kick,
yeah.
you know, like, yeah, it's hard.
Nail it.
Maybe in a
The guitar.
in a great night, you can start having dinner with some mezcals pairing. After some mezcals, you can go to a heavy metal thing and then end up in an electronic. And in each one, you can drink different mezcals. But
Yeah.
heavy metal will come in the middle.
Throw some trap in there. Let's have a party.
Because I think in comparison with tequila, for example, for me tequila is like right away is party, because it's like kind of like famous for the shots. I mean, more talking about the United States. We can talk about Mexico too, but like it's more about the shots and like party and like you become like kind of like aggressive. I don't like tequila, I have to say. Sorry, tequila. And I'm from Guadalajara, which people, my friends hate me because I like mezcal. Yeah, I'm like.
I've heard of your champagnerie adventures.
Yeah, exactly.
La copa de champagne. Sorry.
La copa de champagne. Yes, you hear about
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about, at least.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, for me, mezcal, when I drink mezcal, and I have to tell you that I didn't drink mezcal until like probably 10 years from now. So I'm an early drinker, like early because it's been not too long. And
10 years is good, huh?
10 years. And I started from zero to mezcal. And my friends obviously were like, you never drink, and you started drinking just mezcal. It's like, just the vibe for me of the mezcal is like, it's relaxing. Like, you know, it's like, it's nice. It gets you in a good mood. Everybody that drinks mezcal, at least my friends or people that I know around me, they're always in a good mood. Tequila can be aggressive, and I was scared about that. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like,
Yeah, I can go this way. Yeah.
When I first started drinking mezcal, I was like, what is this? Because you're right. The first one, like, really nice, like you relax. But then by number 3, the mood has changed a little bit, guys. This is becoming like espresso high and like it's a different beast than any other spirit.
it is.
It takes everything out. You speak, you talk, you connect, you just go with a vibe, and I mean it's solar energy right there.
Yeah.
The good thing, at least for me, you know, drinking mezcal is that it's the kind of spirit that sort of lifts you, right? It doesn't kind of bring you down. I guess after a while it will, but
Well, after a while, every drink gets you like that.
It would be more like a switch, not mildly going down. It's like click off.
I've been there too.
And also myths about mezcal. How true, and probably you know this better than me, but I think I believe it. How true is the thing that people say that mezcal doesn't give you any hangover?
You don't
Well-
get a hangover. You just feel a little different tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
all.
What about you, Luis? Do you believe
The
that
buzz-
theory or not?
The buzz is definitely different. The buzz during, no, it's something that everyone has a cycle in life with alcohol. You start beers or RTDs, and then you go vodka, tequila. I don't know. Mine went through almost all of the categories except rum.
Oh,
I didn't go through rum. I
You
don't
have
know
two
why.
Puerto Ricans here, so be careful.
I love rum.
But I love rum agricole. Rums agricole are great. So each one has a different vibe. No, vodka is very like da 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 da, and tequila as well is woohoo, no, yippee yay yay. But
I like that reference.
arriba, no.
Yeah.
And mezcal gets you, depending on the night and the context and everything, gets you in a great mood. And depending obviously on the body and everything, for me at least, I don't get a hangover when I drink moderate mezcal during the day, and I only drink mezcal and water and go to sleep. When you start mixing beers and other stuff and you go overboard, next day, yes. But in some bodies, for sure, mezcal doesn't give you a hangover.
Okay, so this is Luis. I'm not saying this. Luis Niño de Rivera is confirming that mezcal doesn't give you a hangover, so drink mezcal.
In my body.
I like that you're putting like in a safe way.
In my body.
So what will be your perfect playlist if you're drinking mezcal and situation?
Eileen?
It always depends on the venue for me. You know what I mean? Like, and actually, I am also a little bit I believe a little bit that what you're drinking tastes a little bit different depending on where you are too, because you're paying attention to different things. So same thing with music, like, you know, if you're like driving in your car and you're alone and, you know, nobody else is going to hear it, you might play that Spice Girls track from like,
So tell me what you want, what you really want.
Fill it with some Ace of Base. You know what I mean? Like, you can get in.
I've been doing Ace of Base with mezcal, I have to admit it. I'm so
Right?
sorry. Yeah.
But if you're, you know, I don't know, with your friends at a bar, if that ever happens again, God, or like, you know, in a quiet space in the woods, like you're going to want a different kind of music. But I think it's pretty versatile.
Luis?
At least if you don't end up with Luis Miguel in the end, that for me, it's a clear message of they're going to turn on the lights, give you a broom, and you're going to leave. At least for me, Luis Miguel is how this party is over. For me, I always put like best chill out 2019, 2020, and just roll with that one. And then let's see what the night gives, or the day, or the context. But at least start with a good chill out sound list.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think recently I was playing some like old school Sublime. I don't know what's happening during
Nice.
quarantine for me, but I'm
Your
going
playlist
way
is,
back
yeah,
to,
it's
like,
very
90s.
eclectic. I like that.
Yeah, and that was good. Actually, I was drinking Mezcal Verde,
Nice.
listening to Badfish. That's good.
What about the maestros mezcaleros when they're kind of hitting those magueyes? You know what's the soundtrack of that process?
Oh, they get bohemian. They get a guitar, or actually our agriculture director, Ramiro, I didn't know he had this in him, but his birthday was in May, and he sent me an audio of him playing like trova, very cool, drinking mezcal, and suddenly I asked, who's that on the recording? It's me, viejo.
Whoa, whoa.
I didn't know you had
A real
that
artist of mezcal.
A real artist, and maestros mezcaleros and mezcaleros towns music is banda. It's tarola, trumpet, a lot of noise, and no, you know, and that's the music that maestros hear.
The Oaxaca, the typical Oaxacan music.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
the ones that in the calenda you play, and the banda is on the back just playing.
I think there's nothing better about like being in a place like Oaxaca or a place like that, like obviously drinking a mezcal there. But I mean, I know that mezcal started in Oaxaca, but now it's like taking kind of over, right? So
Oh yeah, I mean Oaxaca has 95% of the certified mezcal, but Guerrero is the next one. Zacatecas is bringing a lot of tequilana, agave, blue agave mezcal. Durango, Puebla is growing a lot as well. The rest of the five denomination of origins are small, but coming to be. Now, there are not a lot of mezcalerias there or brands coming from Michoacán, San Luis Potosí, etc. But yeah, Oaxaca is the center of our Consejo Regulador. Our regulator is right there. More than 1,000 maestros mezcaleros are in Oaxaca. All the brands have a Oaxaca mezcal. So yes, Oaxaca. Although, if you see the Calunga, the Maestra Calunga and Sisumo's analysis, agave distilled started in Colima and then spread out to the east part of Mexico. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's interesting, yeah.
That's really cool.
The most ancient vestiges of agave cooking and production is in Colima, next to the volcanoes of Colima.
Wow, yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, what you say about Michoacán, obviously, I think they're super rich with avocados, so I don't think they care too much about mezcal, right?
I think it's like Poland and Russia with who made vodka first. Colima, Guadalajara, Oaxaca, who's the winner? So yeah.
What do you think people should know and understand about mezcal, about Mexico through mezcal, right? Through the process and through what that symbolizes. How do you express that to someone who's got no idea of what it is?
Oh, you just hit it on the nose, Omar. I mean, mezcal is not just a distilled spirit of a plant. It's culture, it's traditions, it's customs. It's since 400 years ago or more, mezcal was enrooted in the pre-Hispanic beliefs and religion, with Mayahuel as a goddess, and giving so much to the communities. I mean, it gave textile, ixtle to make ropes, the needles to sew. Aloe vera is an agave, so that gel for healing. Sugar. It's I mean, you can eat the quiote as well. The flowers, you can eat them. The quiote was used as columns, the pencas as sheds. So it gave a lot. That's why it's called agave by Westerners, by the Spaniards when they came. Agavos means admirable, no? So it's an admirable. When they saw what the agave made and gave and everything, they said, this is an admirable tree. It's agavos, agave, and that's where it came from. So enrooting that Mexican culture with wine of mezcal, which every distilled spirit of agave in Mexico were called wine of mezcal of the region of, no? Mm-hmm. So you can see how they worked, how they mingled between each other, how mezcal was very sacred and only certain times of the year, and certain people can drink it every day. It's very enrooted in customs and traditions, yeah.
I like that. I mean, and I think, I mean, what you say, I don't know, every time people ask me about mezcal, I love to tell the story about it. Obviously, because I was working in Casa Mezcal, I listen all the bartenders telling the story. But when...
You're stealing their ideas.
Yeah, exactly, stealing their ideas.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah. But I mean, it's just a great conversation started, because like, everybody's like, what is mezcal? Hold on, like, move, bitches, I'm going to explain it. Yeah, it's like, gonna turn off the music in the mic. Test. And yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about, I mean, I cannot tell the story of, I mean, and I'm sorry, Guadalajara again, I cannot tell the story of tequila. I just know that it's blue agave, but I do know the story of mezcal because it's so interesting, you know? Like, I mean, it's something that you really want to tell the story. And people, when they hear it, they're like, wow. And they want to pass that story. So they want to, it's a great conversation, like, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Inclusive too, right? Like, it's really relatable. It's really beautiful. It's a story that everybody can totally enjoy in a way that's emotional.
It is.
Yeah.
It is totally emotional.
Capsule. It's a time capsule. When you go to Oaxaca or Guerrero and you go to those typical no electricity, no fossil fuels type of palenque, mezcaleria, vinata, depending on the state, you go back in time. I mean, that's the way they were doing it. 18th century, or even before that, if you accept Calunga's theory of our pre-Hispanic culture distilling agave before the Spaniards came. But I mean, it's a you go back in time and you see it, and then you feel it, and how it's not just a way of living, but el sustento de vida, the lives, what they live for and live from. No, they're very proud of their mezcal, and they love doing it. And even though it's when times are bad and the agave is very expensive or nobody's buying, or 20 years ago mezcal was as you said, not very well appreciated or understood, more than appreciated. They still were there producing and producing and producing. It's tenacity and love, no?
And Eileen, you've been involved in the cocktail making world for years. Is there a way to pinpoint that aha moment with mezcal where mixologists and bartenders kind of figure, wow, this is the perfect spirit to create really cool things?
Yeah, no, they're definitely. I mean, I think in the West Coast it was a much earlier aha moment than on the East Coast, but definitely it happened pretty quickly over a few years in the cocktail world. When I was working at Dear Irving, it was let's say 2016, like that year was really hot for mezcal. Out of nowhere, people were asking for like mezcal pineapple cocktail. So out of left field, it was like, before that it had been spicy tequila cocktails, and then all of a sudden mezcal pineapple came out of nowhere, and so it felt like, okay.
Which is like Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, like,
wow.
Yeah, you know what they pair, it really does go very well. But it was just the amount of people asking for that kind of cocktail that wasn't on our menu yet was like interesting, because it's like there's a collective consciousness that you notice when you work in a restaurant or a bar. All of a sudden people come in, they start ordering the same cocktail even though they don't know each other at all, which is sort of a strange phenomenon. But around that time was when I noticed a big boom. I used to go, way before I started working in cocktail bars, I used to go down to Mayawell.
Mayawell, yeah.
Second Avenue and 6th Street down there. Yeah, so
Great
that place was like hugely influential to me. And the interesting thing about that is that they had a beautiful mezcal selection, agave spirits. Their cocktails were fantastic. It's in the same company as like Death & Co. and Amoria Margo.
Oh, yeah.
Connected, right? But their introductory cocktail with mezcal was just a rinse on the glass. They didn't actually put a substantial amount of mezcal into the cocktail because people were so unused to it.
Yeah. And yeah, it's expensive, and also like you get super drunk probably, no? With like half a glass of mezcal. Like,
yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, it is, it can be a higher proof spirit, right? But not everything, not every cocktail is cask strength anyway. So putting mezcal into a cocktail doesn't necessarily boost it, to out of this world ABV. But it was like purely like the flavor and the new spirit, like the introduction for them was really just a rinse on the glass. And that place was open for, a long time. So New York had been exposed to mezcal in cocktails on that level for at least a little while,
At least enough to start doing classical cocktails with mezcal, no? And that's amazing. I mean, Negronis with mezcal and and cosmopolitans with mezcal or Russian or White Russians with mezcal, whatever. But I mean, substituting classical spirits of classical cocktails with mezcal is you're in, no?
No, yeah, that's actually like a clever thing, and also, I mean, you just pointed at something, Eileen, like about like the best way to mix mezcal. Is there a bad combination of mixing mezcal? Because it seems like, I mean, we're talking about like Manhattans and all the drinks, pretty much like can fit. But is there one? I can tell you, Omar and I, we did something awful that we just.
Oh, no.
You're gonna be the judges, but like we did a couple of shows with coffee and mezcal. Is that a bad combination?
You know what? I actually think that some mezcals taste wonderful with coffee. Like an espresso
I like it.
with mezcal is
Like a carajillo,
Yeah, something like that.
a oaxaquillo, no?
Oaxaquillo. That yeah. Let me put the brand like let me register that name.
Ya está.
You know, it is because mezcal is such a diverse category, and even though you can get two espadín from Oaxaca and they taste very different, right? So, you know, I try not, just in general, when I'm making cocktails, I try not to mix on or like think about the spirit as a category when I'm mixing, but rather the properties of each cocktail or of each spirit, right? So like Luis was saying before, how, you know, Mezcal Verde might pair with like a certain kind of music, and then our Amarás could pair with more like classical, right? It's kind of the same thing with cocktails. I like to use our Mezcal Amarás Espadín in more like kind of like old fashions or Manhattan, like those kind of stirred, because it has such a nice soft edge, and it's like a little bit buttery and a little bit like it's kind of rich, and there's the mango, like it plays really beautifully on its own. It doesn't need to be bolstered by acid. Where the Mezcal Verde has a lot more smoke, so it's like really nice to mix in with some lime juice or lemon juice, or like I made a paloma with it the other day. It's like perfect. It's bright, it shines through, you know. So it's, and then the cupreata makes the best mezcal Negroni ever, hands down. Period.
But Luis, what about Mexico? Are they very purist about that, about mezcal, or they're like into the cocktails?
Well, yes, there's a group that is very into deciding that mezcal should only be 45 ABV and above. It should be only white, no wood, made ancestrally or artisanally, and they don't budge. And it should be drunk straight, no? And they don't budge from there, and it's okay for them to be like this. But there's a new open world that you can mix with cocktails, and the best cocktails here in Mexico, like Limantur, that has won several times, or Valtra, or Gin, etc. They have a good range of mezcal cocktails in their menus, and in the end, the final consumer, like myself and regular people outside that group, they drink mezcal basically neat in Mexico. So at least 90% of consumption of mezcal in Mexico is drunk neat, considering the difference outside of Mexico. No, it's the other way around. But they're starting to get cocktails with mezcal, and they're starting to like to drink mezcal at home and trying to do their own smoky margaritas or their mezcal.
The Riveras are very famous here.
Yeah. Margaritas is 90% of consumption of agave spirits in the U.S., no? But then you have your sipping tequilas that are doing a good pave way for us as well, no? I mean, we're cousins, and some things help each other, and some don't, but in the end, we're all agave spirits, no? Mm-hmm. But yeah, in Mexico, they are starting to grow in the cocktail world of mezcals. And basically those places, I tell you, Limantur, Valtra, very specific cocktail places, are the ones that are pushing this. Maybe a little bit with sophisticated cocktails. We still need to get to that. Maybe not that, but the El Toro, el Coke with.
Oh yes.
No. The tequila sunrise, or
no.
Or the Muppet in Senor Frogs. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, like the little punk.
I'm kidding, but easy 2-3 ingredient cocktails, no? Which I tried the other way, cupriata with an agave cupriata with sparkling water and flower of mint, you know.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. So easy cocktails like that are still need to happen so that mezcal can go in further the line. No?
Speaking of which, what would you say is the new frontier for mezcal? I know it's already in the U.S. It's probably kind of diving deep in. Over the last couple of years, I've seen mezcal grow in Puerto Rico when I go there, and I go to La Factoría, La Cubanita, and other bars, and they have them. they have a variety, and I guess it keeps growing. So what's the next?
It's like coronavirus. It's expanding all over the world.
I would hope that. I would hope that quickly. I would hope that quickly. Like 2,000 people a day consuming mezcal. We will go woo.
Mezcal has taken over in 24 hours.
Yeah, we couldn't supply that, but not the whole category could supply that. And that's basically the new frontier. It's how to keep the tradition, the rituals, the artisanal ancestral process moving forward in this growing stage of mezcal, not losing what makes mezcal, no? Because if we start, or the category starts industrializing and cutting corners and changing the way of the essence of mezcal, I don't know where it would end up. But that frontier is move forward with the same traditions, no? And keep that tradition alive. And to do that, we need to give jobs to a lot of maestros mezcaleros, no? It's not centralized production, but it's like cognac. Cognac buys from, one brand buys from 500 producers of liquid, plus their own, and they're experts in aging in casks, no? But there's 500 producers or more doing liquid for cognac. If mezcal could go that way in terms of grabbing all maestros mezcaleros and producing as it is, and you can have volume with all of them, sourcing, no? And that's the new frontier, no? And also, if you can use technology to improve an artisanal process to produce more volume, that's another, and that's what we're doing in our distillery, no? It's basically a lab that we're making more volume in an artisanal way. And
You're basically clonating maestros mezcaleros, so you can have like
a lot,
40,000 of them the same.
Exactly, but we work with both. So the idea is to keep maestros mezcaleros working and fulfilling a pipeline of volume in the end, because we know we'll never get to tequila's level or anyway, but we can grow more from where we are. No?
Because that's basically the conversation all the time. Like, it's kind of like the America Chivas football situation, no? Like, what's like, it's like mezcal versus tequila, no?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's and I don't know if it's has to be one versus the other, but one and the other.
Yeah.
No? And we have to work together, because there are a lot of tequilas that are semi artisanal and are keeping part of the process with the taonas or steam ovens, etc. So it's amazing to see some of those brands trying to do it a different way, no? And going to terroir and saying this is agave from this hacienda or this village, no? And us as well growing with them, because we can't be apart, and we have to work together, and it's agave in the end,
Mm-hmm.
and agave has to be solved in a way as a whole, because right now tequila agave is at 20 something pesos a kilo. In Oaxaca is at 14 something pesos a kilo. When we started the brand, it was at 60 cents of pesos a kilo.
Wow.
It's crazy, you know? And it's that cycle has been here for centuries. So, since the 1800s. So we have to work on that as an agave world. No?
Many agaves, one soul. That will be the takeaway.
Let me register that. That one I want.
I give you that one. I keep the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wait, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what's your life outside of mezcal, and you already said a little bit about what you would pair the mezcals with in terms of music.
Yeah.
Does that reflect your own taste, or is it just?
Eileen is laughing, so I think she has something to say.
Yeah.
Only because I said Spice Girls, so now.
Yeah, well,
We know Spice Girls and Ace of Base.
Tell us the story of the guitars behind.
Oh yeah, so I'm in my dad's studio. My dad is like the best guitar player that no one's ever heard.
It's like his name is Eric Clapton.
Yeah. No, my dad can slay. Like he's really good. He's been playing guitar since he's 16, and
Oh,
I
wow.
think he's turning 66. So that's a lot of years of
Cheers to
guitar
him.
playing.
Cheers to him.
Yeah, cheers, Dad. Next
Yeah.
one. But yeah, I'm sitting in front of his guitars. One of them
Yeah.
actually.
That's an awesome collection.
That's an awesome, yeah.
This one I think was like one of his first. It's a
Les Paul.
Gibson Les Paul. So anyone
Oh, that's the Les Paul.
Love it.
so cool, right?
Wow.
And he lets my son play it. I have a 15-month-old. That's another thing that I do when
He's
I'm
too
not,
nice.
slinging mezcal. He lets my 15-month-old just like go nuts. He's a good grandpa too.
Into mezcal?
Yeah, he actually, my dad, when I was in college, was the first one. We were out at a bar because my dad's my best drinking buddy. Since I'm like 22 years old, we were out at a bar together, and he ordered like a Don Julio neat or something like that, and I was like, oh, why would you like neat? You're just gonna drink it like that? And he said, baby, tequila's supposed to be sip neat. Is a different kind of high. And then he proceeded to drink Don Julio neat, which I think about all the time. Actually, my dad was like really ahead of the curve with that. And he appreciates my mezcal when I bring it by.
That's awesome. What about you, Luis?
So outside there's not much outside the mezcal world. It takes a lot of our time. But I have a wife and two kids. A boy of
I saw your kid like sneaking around. Like, mine was the
yeah,
same.
yeah.
Was like, it's like, get out, move.
He loves the camera. He just stands behind me and goes.
Yeah, mine too. I have to like say like, ping, get out.
Yeah. My girl is 4.
Awesome.
That's the other part of the time. So now that it's homeschool, I have to do the English part of the homework with them. I cram like 3 days in one.
I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah. But it's amazing, and I'm involved as well in a Mexican craft beer.
Cool.
Made in San Miguel de Allende. So
It's growing a lot, the beer industry there. The local.
perfect mix between mezcal and craft Mexican beer.
Now we want to be your best friends forever.
Especially me, Eileen.
And now that I think about it, Luis, I've never tried that beer, and I'm pissed.
Ooh, we have some declarations
did.
here.
You did in the Amarás experience. You did.
Oh, they only
Oh,
brought
no.
bottles of mezcal.
It's like, no, it wasn't you. I'm sorry, Eileen.
Sorry. It was Rose. No, Rose. Yeah, and love reading. I just actually finished Sarah Bowen's book about divided spirits, about tequila and mezcal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's actually a nice ways to spend a quarantine, like drinking and reading about mezcal and tequila. Why not? Also, you remind me, like, now that you talk about the kids, I don't know if you saw this Saturday Night Live, the final season. It was very funny because they did like a kind of like We Are the World song, but it was like about like let the kids drink, because nobody can live with kids like 24/7. Like, it's like if they drink, they're gonna be relaxed. They can take long naps. It's like, and the kids are all drunk, like, having like, so we can expand our market if that happens.
Oh, yeah.
No.
The new mezcal for
Limit
kids.
The legal drinking age. There's no legal drinking age.
No. Yeah. If you are like, I mean, in United States it's different. Let's end this conversation with that. Like the legal drinking in Mexico versus United States, because I know a lot of Americans travel to Mexico to drink because here the age is 21. In Mexico it's 18.
I have a brother who's 20 years older than I am, and he was legally able to drink at 18. They changed the law after.
Oh, wow.
My sister, who was 4 years younger than him, had to wait until she was 21. So it's not that long ago that the legal drinking age was 18 in the U.S.
Do you think it's a big difference? I mean, you Luis, that you're in Mexico, and obviously I grew up there. Like, I remember seeing all my friends drunk at 18. I didn't drink until like way later, but like, do you think it's better 18 or 21? I mean, we can have that debate.
I think 30.
42. Like, no, you're limiting your market, man. Like, no, it shouldn't be like that. It should be like 15.
I know, but smart drinking drinks more than floppy 1 day a week drinking. No, I'm kidding. So I think it's more of a education since since kids, not giving them, but not just giving them knowledge about what drinking is, and not to go out and learn by yourself at 13, 15, 16, 18 as such, but try to show them what it is and blah blah blah, and give them, maybe not much, but give them at some time of age a taste. No,
I think it is funny because I think as Mexicans, it's normal like that your father like is in a party or something and he's like, you can have a little sip. I mean, because this is for adults, but again, you can try it, and you don't feel as like I need it. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not American, but I mean, just living here, I see that it's more like kind of like the forbidden thing. So it's like I need to go somewhere else to taste it, and I need to drink all of it. Like, what do you think about that, Eileen? I mean, you're the American here, Puerto Rican.
always when that's so restrictive, and in Mexican we say cuando hay lodo, pues embárrate. ¿No?
Exacto. Yes.
Atáscate. And it's prohibited when you go out. You just want to give everything and try it. And once, actually, another one. Once you're legal drinking age, maybe the first day of really go out drinking should be with your parents.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Eileen? Eileen is kind of like having doubts about it.
No, I think that's probably why my dad was like, let's go out for a beer, 22-year-old. I'm going to teach you how to drink tequila neat. Like, that makes sense. And my parents were never, like, super strict about drinking. When I was 16, I think was about when they would let me have like a beer or a glass of wine with dinner on a, when it was an occasion. And it didn't stop me from being the kid that like ran around each table at parties when people were up dancing and drinking the end of their drinks. Like I was that kid. 100%. But I did go into college with a little bit more understanding of how to control myself than some of my friends. Like, so I think what you said is right, Luis. Like, be there with them and don't, prohibition doesn't work. So I think 18
you just needed more. You wanted more when something is forbidden. You just wanted more.
Well, if you can go to war at 16, 17, 18, then you'll be
exactly.
That's a very good, and actually they drink a lot during that time. So. and other things. So
yeah, my nephew is away now. I think I don't even remember where he was. He was in Kuwait last, but they moved him.
Wow.
And yeah, he's like overseas, and he comes back and he can't have a beer with us, and it's so crazy. That's so crazy.
That is crazy.
He can handle a AK-47 and
yeah, he's like
$2 million.
He's like, no, I can't drink. I'm sorry.
If you can handle
not
that,
a beer.
With a grenade. Hold this grenade. It's like, want a drink? It's like, no, I'm sorry. No, I can't.
That's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous, man.
Well, on that positive note, we just want to thank you for being here with us. Anything you want to share with the clientes necios all over the world? And by the way, we're ranking high in a couple of countries in Latin America, Central America, South America.
Oh, yes. Big shout out to all the people in Chile, in Argentina, in Bolivia. I mean, we're ranking number 3 and stuff like that. I don't know why, but people like just to hear us. So, yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Eileen?
Yeah, you can follow me at agave_mama, MAMA, on Instagram. And please check out mezcalamarás.com. And if you are ever in New York, hit me up and I will tell you all the great places that you can drink great mezcal cocktails or grab a bottle for your friends or any of the cool parties that are going on. We're going to do some collaborations with DJs. Also look forward to some of those being live streamed on Instagram and other platforms as well. And I think the 3 of us, maybe Luis and one other person, are going to do a cool happy hour.
Woo!
Yeah. Walk you through having a cocktail and get you nice and saucy.
Because it is important to learn how to make a cocktail in this quarantine, So.
Oh yeah.
It is.
Luis.
It is. So first, Giovanni, Omar, thank you for your time and your channel, and hola a todo latinoamericano que escuche Clientes Necios. Keep doing this. I mean, it's great content. It's a great time. It's fun. I recently opened my Instagram ambassador account because it's my part of my new responsibilities. So
follow me and I follow you.
Follow me at el.niño Luis because there's no ñ.
Oh, you're right. Them
So I had
ñ.
to adjust. No, there's no ñ. Muy ñoños.
Muy ñoños. Yeah, I'm Treviño, so I understand your.
No, you're
Niño.
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 So yeah, at el.niño Luis. When I'm out down there in New York, let's try to hook up Omar and Giovanni to have some mezcals, go to Casa Mezcal, CJB, try some music, and try to test the hard metal, heavy metal stuff with.
That would be a good challenge. The heavy metal mezcal challenge.
You know,
Okay,
we've been
let's do it.
plugging Casa Mezcal a lot on this, and I think that's great because they're going to start doing Mezcal Verde cocktails to go in New York City. So if you are in New York City and you need a good Mezcal cocktail, you can follow them on Instagram and they'll let you know when they start sending those live.
Plus, it's like bringing Casa Mezcal is a nice place because it's like bringing a piece of Oaxaca to New York because Guillermo Holguín, one of the owners there, he has his Mezcalería Los Amantes, which is exactly a replica of what basically is in Oaxaca. So, and it's in a bigger space. So that's a very cool experience. So you have to go to that place and have the tlayudas.
Yeah, cool people over there at Casa Mezcal. We used to play there and Botanic and.
Well, ex-Botanic is not Botanic anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, ex-Botanic.
We're like,
Botanic.
well, yeah, we're like kind of like the oldest crowd there, like since the very beginning. So that's why we know it by the old name. Obra Negra actually was the first name. Then
Yeah.
Botanic Lab. Yeah, it's been changing names so many times. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, follow them and obviously try the Mezcal Amarás, which actually I think Omar, just to end this, like, he mentioned Amores because that was the name before, right?
Mhm.
Actually, it's the name in Mexico, Amores, and in the US we are Amarás.
Mhm.
But we'll have good news later on in that aspect. But in the US we're Mezcal Amarás and Mezcal Verde.
Awesome.
So Amarás is you will love. So
Yeah, you will love. So yeah, I mean,
You will
everything,
love mezcal.
anything that has like love on it is just amazing. And if it's mezcal, why not? Love for mezcal. So that's
Exactly.
perfect.
and you will love Clientes Necios more after.
Yeah, woo! Cheers. I mean, I'm actually empty now, but like,
This was
Cheers.
awesome.
cheers.
Have a
Salucita.
great,
I love
great
that, the
week.
pineapple one.
great week. Pineapple. Where's my pineapple?
See you guys. Thank you so much.
Hasta la próxima.
Bye.
La próxima. Ciao.
Bye.